Welcome to From Dark to Light. On today's episode, we talk to Long Don. At just 13 years old, Long's life came down to a 50-50 chance, live or die, as he fled Vietnam alone on a small fishing boat. When the communists took over, his mother made the heartbreaking decision to send her son away with strangers, praying he'd somehow make it to safety. Long was crammed underneath that fishing boat with 153 other people, packed in darkness, trying to stay silent, praying they wouldn't be captured by patrols or attacked by pirates. For nearly 2 weeks, they drifted at sea, terrified, starving, and unsure if they'd ever see land again. When they were finally rescued, they were taken to a refugee camp known as Snell Island, a place so overcrowded and brutal, it earned its name from the 40,000 refugees who struggled to survive there. Long spent 8 long months on that island, alone, hungry, and afraid, before finally being sponsored to come to America by a family. That journey from chaos and fear to faith and freedom became the foundation of who he is today. It taught him courage, perseverance, and an unshakable belief that no obstacle is too great to overcome. Today, Long Don is the co-founder and broker of a realty group, the fastest growing independent brokerage in Minnesota. But behind every success story is a beginning, and Long's began in the dark, beneath a fishing boat, surrounded by fear, faith, and 153 souls searching for freedom. Hello, Long. How are you?
Good. Thank you for having me. How are you?
I'm great, thank you. I'm so excited for you to share your story today because I think that it's one that is so focused on the mindset. You've been through so much, but yet your mindset is really what helped get you through these really challenging times. And your story is really incredible. It's a rags to riches story. You're a very successful business owner now, but you came from a really incredible story in a really, really incredible place. So I was wondering if you could just take us back to what was life like back in Vietnam when you were maybe 5 or 6 years old?
Yeah, it's for most people who are your listener, Julie, probably, kind of know enough about the Vietnam War, right? Depends how old they are, maybe in history or maybe just through videos or whatnot. But yes, oh, you might see my dog put in the back. That's our youngest kid now walking around. He's going to his little bed back there. But I was oldest of three boys. My mom and dad actually were both professors. They actually have scholarship to Florida State University from
Mhm.
Vietnam. Came back. My dad has a PhD. My mom has a master. They're both professors in college. But what happened after the war ended, when the American left, the communists came in, and most communist country, China, Vietnam, some other places, they usually have this thing called re-education camp.
Mhm.
And that's what they called it back then, which was political prisoners, was the term that people used. So hundreds of thousands of people who were arrested because of, a threat was the ideology, right? So anyone who can think for themselves, doctors, attorney,
Mm.
professors, poet, musician, right? Any free
Right.
thinker, I guess you would call it. My dad being a professor, a vice chancellor at one of the major university, pretty young still, went to school in America, came back
Mhm.
successful. So he was classified as one of those. So I was still, you don't remember a lot when you were 8 years old,
Mhm.
usually, but for some reason, I still remember that event, right? And I was 8. My two younger brothers were 4 and 2. And I remember it was really early in the morning. There's a big, loud knock on the door and woke us all up. And a bunch of strangers just came into the house, put my dad in handcuffs, and rummaged through the house for hours looking for whatever they were looking for.
Yeah.
And I remember that's the first time I was 8 to see handcuffs, let
Mhm.
alone being on my dad. You know,
Yeah.
I probably told this story hundreds of times, but sometimes it still takes me back. So if I get a little emotional, I apologize.
Yeah.
Sitting on my dad's lap,
Mm.
going, what is that? Or why are they on him, right? And asking a ton of little questions 8-year-old would ask. What is
Yeah.
going on? What's happening? He's like, I don't know. It's okay. Just trying to calm us down. My two younger brothers obviously crying. Don't know what's going on. My mom trying to calm them down. This went on for hours
Mm.
and they didn't find whatever they were looking for. And then there's time. They took my, it says time to go, and they took my dad away.
Wow.
And I remember, little kid hanging on to his neck,
Mm,
hugging him, like
yeah. And
not want to let
long
him go, right?
I can't even imagine that. What was life like in your house prior to that? Was there buildup or tension? Did you guys hear that this kind of stuff was happening all over the place? Like, were you guys living in fear at that point, or did you think that life was going to be as normal as it has been?
Yeah, really good question. So if we backtrack that a little bit, a lot of people left Vietnam right at the end of the war, right? You've seen pictures and videos, people
Yeah.
hanging on to plane as they taking off, jumping into the
Mm,
water to the boat that's leaving, right?
yeah.
And believe it or not, because of who we are, we were invited to leave the country as a family.
Oh.
And my dad actually turned it down and saying, "We're here to help our country. Maybe we can work with the new regime and do what we can to help our people.
Mm,
We're staying." Matter of fact, another event I do remember vividly, little kid brushing my teeth months before that, a couple
hmm
months probably, hearing my parents having this conversation that if we leaving within hours, we're up on the roof of a house and helicopters picking us up to take us to the airport to leave. Those are the
Wow.
conversations they were having.
Yeah.
And my my mom said there's three young kids, we don't know what's gonna happen. My dad said, you know what, we're staying and this is the
Mm,
decision we're gonna make. They agreed on it.
yeah.
Unfortunately, that's what happened. So
Yeah.
yes, there was a chance that could happen
hmm
because at the time we didn't know, right? 2 months prior. But
hmm
during that 2 months, after it's already too late, it's already shut down, you can't leave anymore.
Yeah.
Is when things like this were happening, and I'm sure they were hoping he wasn't going to be one of them. You know, uh,
So, do you remember life prior to that fear or the stress of your parents going through that? Like, what was life like for maybe when you were 5 or 6? Do you remember joy in your home or any of that with your parents and your siblings? I
Yeah,
mean,
so I was, obviously oldest,
hmm
and I do remember little family vacation we would take to the beach,
hmm
playing chess with my dad. Those little things, but not a ton because
hmm
you're so young, right?
right,
And unless something dramatic like this, you remember it. But I mean, eight,
right.
10 years or younger, it's hard to remember those events. So, but I do remember, we're both professors, which by the
Mm,
way, most country more well paid than most of the professions. Unlike here in America, like teachers are not paid as well, right?
right.
So there, we were doing pretty good. I feel like we were actually comfortable.
hmm
Those things I remember having family vacation. Those are all little fun memory, but it wasn't as much as I could remember because I was so
Sure.
young.
Right. So, when your dad gets taken away, is your mom still working?
Yep. So what happened at that moment? I remember not wanting to let him go when they dragged him away, and I remember him whispering in my ears, like,
Mm,
"Don't worry, I didn't do anything wrong. I'll be back soon."
mm,
I was 8 years old. I didn't see him again until I was 32 years old. After that
that-
moment, okay.
wow.
So of course, after he left, my mom then we lived with my grandparents because my dad was the oldest, and that's kind of the tradition, right? So we
Right.
lived with my grandparents. I then became the man of the house while my mom worked two jobs because she
Mm,
was a professor teacher, so she taught and she has to now support the family. So she was always gone, and I was eight,
mm,
and that was my job. Watch my two younger brothers, help my grandparents, and during this time, Vietnam was called the rationed period.
mm,
I don't care how much money you have, you don't get anything. They give you things. Okay. And because my mom worked for the government, she teaches every day, our family of six, my two grandparents, my mom and us three kids, right?
mhm,
So there's five of us total plus my mom. So six. So every day after school, my job was because I was the oldest and left in the family, my grandparents were
yeah,
old, would go line up in long line. These are like people who are older, may remember watching like the Depression time, right? Like you
yeah,
go bread line, it's what that, as they would call it.
yeah,
I would line up every day, 2 to 3 hours in the hot, humid sun, waiting for a ration of Monday might be spices, Tuesday's rice,
mm,
Wednesday might be detergent, Thursday might
mm,
be vegetable. We literally wait in line to get our ration based on our head count and what we do.
wow,
So that was me from age of 8 to 13 while my mom worked two jobs. And
Mm.
of course, she works a full-time job and then she worked a night job. So I remember my grandma would make food because, back then it's different than now, right? You can't just pack food and bring
Yeah.
with. There's no fridge or whatever like we all do here. And I would ride my bike with the food to meet my mom somewhere in
Mm.
between her job of 15, 20 minutes so she can mow down her quick food to eat.
Wow.
And that was the time I got to spend and see my mom. Well, my brother didn't get to see her much, right? By the time we get home, we're already in
Right.
bed, wake up in the morning, she's already gone. So that was pretty much somewhat life in Vietnam, which also lead to back then, during those time, obviously it's pretty tough. So 3 to 4 times a week, we have no electricity. They just
Mm.
shut it down, right? Because there's just not enough resources for whatever it might be. So it's just be total darkness, nothing, anything like that. If life was hard is an understatement.
Wow. Wow. And so hot. You were in Saigon, right?
Correct. Yep.
Right. And so were you ever fearful because your mom was in the same position as your dad that they would take her as well?
Yes, but that only happened after I left. So she
Mm.
was also taken away for almost 2 years.
Oh, I just keep getting goosebumps with your story. That is just incredible. So well, fast forward, and obviously life is really hard for you guys, and it sounds just so repressed. And what is the turning point where your mom says, we need to get you out of here?
Lots of people left Vietnam during that time. Okay, this is 1975 when the war ended. Between 1975 to 1985, a lot of people left Vietnam, and because
Mhm.
Vietnam's a coastal country, most people left by boat. That's why we were called the boat people. That was me. I'm one of the boat people. So what happened? The Red Cross has set up refugee camps all nearby Vietnam,
Mhm.
Malaysia, Indonesia, Thailand, right? You name it, right? Cambodia. So a lot of people were leaving Vietnam to go there, and the way to go is by boat. So because of my dad's status, when I get to a certain age, I can't even go to college, right? Because we
Wow.
were on so-called the blacklist. So there's no future for me and my two younger brothers.
Mm.
And my mom work as hard as she can. Lots of people leaving the country, and she's like, you know what? Maybe we should consider this.
Mhm.
Now, back up a little bit. Prison in Vietnam, not like here in America. Obviously, America here is not good either, but it's even
Right.
worse in Vietnam. In Vietnam, your family actually help bring food for you to eat. All
Mhm.
you get is minimal amount of rice and water just to barely survive.
Wow.
So we would come once a month. We were allowed to bring food to last a whole month for my dad to eat
Mhm.
whatever and
Mhm.
hopefully get to see him, which we didn't get to see him much because he's always being disciplined. So we would show up excited to see my dad, not see
Ugh.
him, just drop off the food, right? I remember every
Jeez.
time we go, I'm like, oh, I can't wait to see him. Nope, sorry, not this time, right?
Oh,
Drop off the food and gone. And that my dad being who he is, lots of people cannot even afford to have their family bring them food. He's
yeah.
always asking for extra so he can share with other people.
Mhm.
And the crazy thing is, later on, of course, when I got to hear about the story, later on,
Yeah.
my dad, based on the room he was in, usually one of 75 to 150 people in a room so crowded that at night when you sleep, it's like sardine. Your head is against someone else's leg, all cramped up together, laying down. Now
Wow.
imagine during the day when you're not laying down, just standing up. You're almost
Mm.
shoulder to shoulders, and it's so tight in these rooms, the ceiling's so low that most people can touch by raising their hand with 3 to 4 little air hole
Oh
that they survive
my
in.
goodness,
It
it's
is
almost
so
like
bad
being
that
buried
it
alive.
is. Yes, so many people cannot take it anymore. They would bang their heads against the wall just to hope they would die. And that's not even the worst part. When you get disciplined, you get taken to like one of those container, an iron metal container, where you have no air hole in there and you are in there days, if not weeks,
My
without getting out.
goodness.
And
Wow.
you are doing everything in there. Go in the bathroom, number one, number two, whatever it is. And they give you just enough water and rice to survive. Not only because they want to keep you alive, they don't want to punish you. They don't want you to die. They want you to keep living so you can make an example of you before they put you back in this room, which you're happy to go back to. That is like a sardine room.
Wow. It is amazing, and I think we could get on a soapbox about how many people can watch that type of suffering and actually condone it or be a part of it. It is really, really incredible that your own people could do or any human being could do that. Wow. And your dad was in prison because of his thoughts, right? Like, in
That's
his
right.
education. He didn't commit a
Absolutely.
crime, he didn't do anything wrong. They were just afraid that he would think differently or did think differently.
He was actually
Wow.
never charged with the crime.
And how long was he there?
So the first time, 12 years, the second time, 10 years. So
Unbelievable.
22 years, whatever,
Yeah.
until he was exiled, which is later down in the story. But with that, so
Mhm,
back up to that part. So because of that, a lot of people leaving Vietnam, and my mom also considered, right?
mhm.
And she has, hidden enough stuff, jewelries to sell off because it's human smuggling. So you have to buy a spot on one of these
Right,
boats. And back then, people were using river fishing boats for this type of adventure, right?
right.
So we have this major river in Asia called the Mekong River. It feeds through a bunch of Asian country until it goes out to international water. So a lot of people were leaving on this boat, go out, and there's less than 50% chance of making, by the way. I always
Mhm.
say I'm a flip of a coin sitting here talking to you, Julie, is
Yeah.
that I was the one that made it, right? So anyways, my mom spent a lot of money for herself and us three boys. And we were waiting at the pickup point the first time I tried. I was 11. We waited, and my mom could not do it because
Mm.
she be abandoning my dad, right?
Oh.
Someone have, he does have a couple brothers, but there's no way they can take care of him. They can do
Mm.
what they can that we could do.
Yeah.
And she shared later that, you know what, we were all looking to go because I remember that time too. It was, okay, we're all together, whatever happens, happens. She decided not to, and we went home.
Mm.
Good or bad, doesn't matter. We found out later that group made it.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
would all
Wow.
have made it if we would have done that time, right?
Right.
But she couldn't pull the trigger. Anyone who's married listening probably know, are you gonna abandon your significant other, and do this and make a choice? Your three kids or your spouse?
Right.
How do you choose that?
Wow. And back then, if she would have left, would she have been taking your dad's parents as well?
No, yeah,
No.
we didn't have enough, and they're too old to make the trip. They would not have survived.
Would there have been consequences for them once the government found out that they left?
Absolutely. Which
Yeah.
was my second time. So on my second time, my mom being, who she is, always trying to solve problems and take care of all this stuff, right?
Yeah.
So her brother, was a mechanic, and she was able to have him get a spot on a next boat as a mechanic because that
Mhm.
boat needs a mechanic just in case something goes wrong. And he gets to bring somebody, and I was that person
Ah,
because she didn't have money anymore, right?
yeah.
So the second time is myself, my brother, and actually my aunt too, my uncle, sister, and my mom's dad. The other side of the family plus me. So
Okay.
that time, during that time, this is the late '70s, early '80s. Vietnam was at war with the Chinese, and you said, "What's the consequences?" The penalty is if you try to escape and you get caught, and you are 16 or older men, you are pretty much shot to death, like
Wow.
your death sentence, death penalty.
Mhm.
So we already know if something get happen because only half the people actually make it. If we
Mhm.
get caught, my uncle is going to bail and get out if he can.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm young. My aunt's a woman, right? My grandpa's old.
Mhm.
So the second time around, what happened with this journey is you would meet up at a pickup point. You get on this boat and you go underneath to their fishing boat. So secret compartment. Okay.
Yeah.
And this river fishing boat would fish down the Mekong River until you get out to international water. And then you float till someone picks you up. That's pretty
Mhm.
much right. The plan.
Right.
But to go through all these checkpoints, you have to bribe the Coast Guard and hope they let you through because they know. But look at this boat; it's like sinking a little bit because it's so heavy underneath, right?
Right. Right.
Something's not right here. And this time we bribed the people, and they still turned us in, so we got
Mm.
caught. So I remember it was dark at night. We know what was happening. I was getting a little scared, but I've been kind of been prepared that could happen. My uncle
Yeah.
Bale dove off into the water in the night and escaped. We got
Mhm.
caught my second
Mm.
time. And I remember 2 days outside, hot, humid, no water, no food. That was the penalty for us while they
Mhm.
sort through who they're taking away and who get to go home, right?
Mm.
While making fun of us just wait. The Americans on their way to pick you guys up. I'm just teasing us and, just
Yeah.
degrading us the whole time. And I was scared. I didn't know what's happening, but I did get to go home 2 days later because I
Wow.
was only at the time 12 years old. That was my
Yeah.
second try.
Wow. Wow. Okay. So, wow. So about what, a year later,
Yep.
your mom makes she seems relentless and just incredible. I mean, how selfless to send you away. And I can't even imagine as a mom making that decision in not knowing what the outcome could be. You know what it's going to be if he stays, but you don't know what the outcome. It was almost like she was just hoping and praying that it would all work out. I mean, that's like she sounds
Yeah.
incredible. Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
Absolutely.
Wow. So, can you tell us about you're 13 years old, and at this point, your mom comes to you, but you didn't really know, right? Like she was keeping it a secret because she didn't want you to tell anybody. And yeah, tell us. It's incredible.
Yeah. So obviously, like you said, she's going to keep trying, right? Because I'm the oldest, so I have shorter runway. Because by the
Yeah,
time I get to 16, who's know what's going to happen to me, right? Because my
right.
dad was one of those on that list.
Yeah,
So I know it's going to happen again. Like you said, I just didn't know when.
yeah.
Because she's not going to tell me, and I'm going to tell my friends, my brothers, say goodbye, do all the normal stuff, right?
Right.
And
Yeah.
it's a secret operation, so it would be not good. So, and when you're 13, you're not as aware of what's going on, right? And
Hmm.
I remember, I still do my normal stuff every day, go do my things, line up in line, long line, do all this other thing. And there was one night, school night. This is during the school time. Um, I remember uh, my brothers, my two younger brothers, went to a sleepover at my cousin's house. I should have
Hmm.
thought, go, something's not right. We don't get to do that in school night, right?
Yeah.
And then my grandma, made me my favorite meal, barbecue pork.
Hmm.
And but back then, we usually share like 1 ounce of meat between the family, right? I'm
Oh,
getting to eat the whole thing by myself. I'm not fighting my brothers for food.
yeah.
And then at nighttime, they're like sitting with me, saying how much they love me and all this other
Mm.
stuff before I go to bed. I'm getting all the attention. I mean,
Yeah.
I should have figured it out, right? But I didn't. I'm enjoying it, all of this stuff.
Yeah.
And about 3 o'clock in the morning, my mom woke me up and she said, "It's go time." And I knew, right? I'm like, it's time.
In that moment, Long, were you terrified? Were you like, this is a mission? Had you guys talked about what you would do each step by step? Had you been coached prior to of like, okay, once you get here, then you do this and this is where you're going to go live? Like, did you know and did you want to go? Like, or were you terrified? Like, no, mom, why are you doing this?
Yeah. First of all, yes, because stories and projections of what could happen if you succeed, right? If you
Yeah.
get to this stage, this could happen until this.
Yeah.
So the whole plan is we went to the waiting spot. We did that as a family, first
Hmm.
time. Second time is we got picked up and we're going to make the journey. If
Hmm.
we don't get caught in Vietnam, that happened to me. The third step is you get out to international water, you float until someone picks you up, or the pirates come and get you and sink your boat and kill you all. Okay?
Wow.
And
Hmm.
then you get to a refugee camp, hopefully, where you then would apply to go to wherever. And for
Hmm.
us, for me, would be America because my
Hmm.
uncle lived in Minnesota. That's how I end
Yeah.
up later in Minnesota.
Yeah.
So there's a rough draft of the plan that I
Okay.
know, right?
Okay.
But you just kind of flow with this because no one knows what's going to happen because, you know,
Right. But as a 13-year-old boy, your scope is so small that you don't really
absolutely.
understand what really
That's
is
right.
ahead for you.
Yeah.
Okay. So your mom wakes you up at 3 in the morning and says it's go time.
Yep. Yeah, so you hear, but you didn't hear, right? You kind of know that's what's supposed to happen, but it's not hitting me.
Right.
And I'm also the oldest, and it was almost like it's my duty, my job
Mm,
to go.
mm.
Okay, so I kind of accepted that. Is we call in Vietnam we have a term called voluntold, right?
Mm.
You're not asked, you're just told to do it. You know what I'm saying? This is
Yeah.
how it is. And we all want to do that to our kids, right? But they always fight back. But the culture is this: is what you're gonna do? Okay, accepted it and just do it.
Yeah.
So I remember waking up, my grandma and my mom, they both woke me up, and I knew it was go time. And for me at the moment, I'm like, okay, here's one more try. Let's go do it.
Mm.
Thinking, Grandma, I'll see you in a couple days.
Right.
That's what happened last time, right? First time, same thing. I got to see her. So, of course, she gave me a hug, told me she loved me, proud of me.
Mm,
Didn't
mm,
realize it's the last time I'll ever see her,
mm.
right? She died a few years later. Kind of stuff. So
Oh,
yes, no problem. Got on backup bicycle. My mom pedaling. I'm standing in the back with the two pegs, just
wow.
like kids do nowadays. Except in Vietnam, that's our main, you know, transportation mode. So we live in Saigon. We pedal for almost an hour, you know, in the dark,
Wow.
out
Mm,
of the city to a meeting place where we met up with a strange man I've never met before. And she kind of handed me off to him. And she said goodbye, turned around, and left. Of course,
wow.
later on, when we have conversation, she didn't want to hang around because she didn't want to cry, maybe feel
Mhm.
sad, whatever. So I remember her saying was, you know, I'm proud of you. I love you. You can do this, right?
Yeah.
Me thinking, hi, mom, see you in 2 days. No
Mm,
problem. I've done this before. I'll see you, right? It hasn't hit me at the time.
yeah.
And it was a strange man I've never met, but he was on a moped. It,
Hmm.
it's motorized. So I sat in the back. He drive another hour to the meeting place. So all this I've done before. So I'm kind of understanding the process, right, of this.
Hmm.
So I'm thinking, yep, see my mom in a few more days. This is what happened last time.
Yeah.
And we're about 5 o'clock now in the morning, and we arrive to a small group. It was last time. This group's about 8 of us. I'm the last one to arrive,
Hmm.
and it was in a little shed somewhere. We're out further now, where you will see rice paddy, just like you watch Vietnam War movie. That's not
Yeah.
where I live. I'm in the city. So we went out there. As soon as I got there, I was the last one of the group. We got into a smaller boat, what we would call in Minnesota a dinghy, a small boat, right? So
Yeah.
we all got on a little boat, and they would just take us out to the main boat. So, but before we got there, we have to walk to where the boat is. And I remember I was 13, but pretty small at the time. I
Hmm.
remember we'll walk through rice paddies, still dark out. I'm by myself. I don't know anybody. They don't know me. They don't care about me. They don't worry about themselves. I'm like trying to keep up to make sure that I'm not left behind.
Yeah.
And they were just booking me. They're not even care about me. So I kept up. I kept up. I finally made it onto the boat. We went to the big boat. So I remember we were also the last group to arrive. I remember going down the boat and again seeing how crowded it was, except this group was a little bigger than the last group. The boat also a little bigger. Later on, I found out I was one of 153 people in maybe a normal bedroom size, maybe one and a half. Okay.
Wow.
It was cramped. We were sitting shoulder to shoulder. That's what it was. But this was the drill last time. No
Yeah.
surprise for me, right? Got
Yeah.
in there, okay, start going down the Mekong River like they're fishing, okay, while we're underneath. Every time we go to a checkpoint, just like last time, knock, knock, knock on the top. Everyone be super quiet because everyone already
Mhm.
got the warning. We get caught on the man on this boats are dead. So if
Yeah.
you got a little kid, you're crying, you're gonna muzzle them, you do whatever you want to shut them up or kill them if
Yeah.
you have to.
Yeah.
Seriously, those are kind of
Yeah.
okay. This
Wow.
time, luckily, we made it through all the checkpoint, paid them. Whatever happened up there, we don't know.
Hmm.
But during this time, when you're in the dark, you sit down there and you don't know the time, and you go through, which later I realized 3 days.
Wow.
3 days. People go number one, number two, throwing up because of
Yeah.
the water, wave, whatever, being quiet the whole time in the dark.
Wow.
Okay, 3 days.
Okay. Okay. I can't even imagine that. But how do you sleep? How do you go to the bathroom, and were you eating it all, or were you guys pretty much starving?
We just get a little water pass around and a little bowl of rice and just grab a bite to eat as they can up on the top because they can't look like they're cooking for a bunch of people either, right? So,
Right. Oh,
yeah, and then you're just sitting shoulder to shoulder and
just
going bathroom. You go in the bathroom right when you sit,
when just sweating to death and suffering.
everything.
I mean,
Yep.
talk about a form of suffering. Wow. Is there a point in that maybe triggers you, like a certain smell or
Oh
something
yeah,
like
still
that
do it.
that brings you back to that?
I shared this story many times. So imagine you go to an outdoor event, concert, sporting
Yeah.
event, right? State fair, whatever, and you
Yeah.
go to one of those satellite
Yeah.
and imagine that has not been cleaned in months. and it's dark in there. You went in there and the door accidentally shut on you, and you have no air for 3 days.
Oh my.
So every time I go to one of those, it triggers.
So what was your I mean, you're 13, you're away from your family in the middle of the ocean. How do you not start crying and freaking out at that age? Were you just numb? Like, what was going on mentally for you?
Right. So now we actually got farther than I have gotten before. This
Yeah.
time we actually made it out to international water.
Yeah.
And this is at the point when people get to go up on top. And this is when you see videos and pictures of hundreds of people on top of a little fishing boat. That's
Yeah.
what happened at this point. So I
Mm.
remember everyone was going up. I was one of the last one. I was taught to be polite and help people, whatever. So I've been helping some people up. I was one of the last ones to come up, Julie. And I remember as soon as I got up on the top, I was like, went from hell to heaven. Imagine
Wow.
where I was to fresh air, right? You're like, you take for granted the fresh air until
Right.
you got out of that situation and realized, oh my God, this is amazing. And I'm 13, all excited. This is the farthest I ever got, right? I'm
Yeah.
excited actually at this point.
Yeah.
And I remember looking around and everyone actually looked more scared than before. And it
Mm.
remembered to hit me in my prep story that if I got to that point, it's a point of no return. I'm not going
Oh,
back. I'm not going to get caught. I'm not whatever. It's now either I make it or I die.
wow.
And
Yeah.
people are realizing that. They're like, yes, we made it, but now let's hope. Okay.
Wow.
So what
Oh,
happened is this is the early 80s and the economy was bad everywhere in the world. Okay. Because of that, all the surrounding fishermen turned pirates. Because they
mm.
know boat people like us, when we leave, we don't take our money because it's not even what the paper's printed on.
Right.
People convert to jewelries to carry whatever they can with. So they
Yeah.
find us river fishing boats. These guys are ocean fishing boat, right? We can't outmaneuver them, can't outrun them.
Right.
They find river fishing boat, they get on, they take all the jewelry, many story, rape the women, and kill everybody, sink the boat because that's mercy killing. It was either that, because they take all the gas, they take all the food, right? They're pirates. They take
Yeah.
everything they can. So if they left you alive, that's actually worse. So
Wow.
many of them actually say, "Hey, pray, whatever. We're gonna put you guys out," right? So that for us, we got lucky. We did not run into any pirates. Okay,
Wow.
I did
Wow.
see floating body, like it has happened recently, and we just
Yeah.
got lucky, the timing wise. And we had 1 day's left of food, water, and gas. We all knew it, and this is rationing. So we're now in on like 9th to 10th day. We've been now out international like 5, 6 days now, past the 3 days that we went down the Mekong River.
Wow.
So
Long. Can I ask you this? You have two sons. When they were 13 years old, were you able to look at them and say, wow, I was this small or this young? Like, it's such an incredible, I mean, I keep getting goosebumps because your story is so incredible. How was that when you had your sons at that age? Like,
eighth grade, that's what 13 was.
uh
And in eighth grade is when I come in, and the school always allow me to share the story to
yeah,
the whole eighth grader group in the assembly hall, whatever, of my
wonderful.
story when I was 13 years old, what I was doing versus them, right? Playing
Wow.
video game, get mad that you didn't get this and that.
Yeah.
And I would show them the one bag I still have with me to this day that
Hmm.
when I left the refugee camp, a couple kind of like overlooked the orphan, give me a bag to take with.
Right.
And in there, I still have the clothes I wore when I left Vietnam, which look extremely small because I was a
Yeah.
little boy.
Wow.
And just to show them this is what I did. I came to America with this clothes, right?
Wow.
And then tell them a little about my story, which
Yeah.
some of them can comprehend, some can't. And I try to keep it more like light, but
Right.
still share with them how lucky they are
Right.
that they didn't have to go through what I went through. So yes, that happens.
That's incredible. Okay, so you guys have 1 day left of food,
Yep,
water,
yep.
out in the middle of
So
the ocean, floating.
we were lucky because a French shipping vessel passed by. So that's the plan. Either one of these friendlies come around and see you and call to one of the near refugee camp,
Yeah.
or the pirates find you and you're dead. Okay,
Mm.
that's literally it. That's why it's a flip of a coin. It's like
Right.
50% chance of making it. That's why half the people make it, half the people didn't. We got lucky. They spotted us, pull up. By the way, the emotion and all the joy, right? That someone found us. It wasn't a pirate. We didn't know until they come close, right?
Yeah.
And then of course all the expectation. We didn't know how it works. Well, like They're going to rescue us. No, they can't let us on. They don't know we have disease or whatever. They just
Hmm.
tied us up, let us know that we're calling somebody. Somebody on a ship spoke French. They communicated. So
Yeah.
they throw down some food and water, which was great, by the way. I remember my first apple. I thought it was amazing. Like this big red apple, so juicy. Like,
Yeah.
oh, I can't wait to eat more of these. But anyways, they called in to near refugee camp, which for me, where we were at the time was Malaysia.
Hmm.
So that refugee camp in Malaysia sent out a tugboat, so to speak, and grab us and pull us in. So the
Mm.
wait was about half day, almost a day for that to happen. But it was joyful during that time. Everyone's all excited. So anyway, we got pulled in, and then we went through the onboarding or whatever you want to call it, right? Where we all got a little shot. We got our name. They kind of went through the whole list of questioning, all this
Yeah.
other stuff. And then I was by myself, didn't know anybody. So right away, I was categorized as an orphan. So
Hmm.
I was told when I'm done to go to this place up in the hill. By the way, this refugee camp, Wikipedia page, nicknamed it at the time Hell's Island,
Wow.
considered to be the most heavily populated place on Earth at the time. I
Oh,
was one of 40,000 people living the size of a football field, okay, on this little island. Okay.
wow. Wow.
So by
When
then it's nighttime. Yep.
sorry, when you got to that island and maybe even on the ship, was there anybody, an adult or anybody that took you under their wing of sorts or who was kind to you, or was it really just each man for themselves?
Everyone for themselves. They were courteous and know that I was by myself, whatever,
Hmm.
Some might check in on me, go, hey, you doing okay, whatever. But you can definitely tell they were definitely more scared and worried for themselves than me, right?
Right.
And when we get to the island, the same. Hey, you're gonna be going here. There'll be this one couple that's gonna overlook you guys at this orphanage. And at the time, by now it's kind of nighttime, right? This whole
Mm,
process been going through. And this is the story I share with people many, many, many times is that moment, right? It's one of those
mm,
moments that I feel like define us. It's like
mm.
our why, like why we are the way we are,
Yeah.
not the why we do the thing we do, right? It's also
Right.
related, but it's more like why you are who you are. It was my first night at
Mm,
the refugee camp, and this all happens. And I remember going, I don't know if I want to go to that orphanage first. I just want to go check out the place. And I went right up to over to the beach. I remember it was nighttime. I went on to go to bed. I'm like, God, there's a lot of people here. I don't know anybody, but a lot of
mm,
people. Things were settling down. I remember just sitting on the beach, and this is the story I share many, many times, is that all of a sudden it hit me that I made it.
mm.
It was that moment that I'm like realized because even then we're on the ocean, finally got called in, got pulled in. It's still happening, right? You're still processing it, and I've never been this
Yeah.
far before, so I'm just going through the process, trying to adjust, see what's going on, watch what people are doing, make sure I'm answering the question right. I'm all scared. What if they send me back, right? All this thing
Yeah.
I've done, and I remember going, "Holy shit, I made it!"
Yeah.
And I remember I started to cry. And
Mm,
it's the first time I emotionally cried, right? I was 13, I've been hurt before, I fell, whatever, but I've never cried like that
yeah.
because I was going, oh my God, I made it. But wait a minute. Wait, is that good or bad? You
Mm,
know? Because everyone I know is on the other side of the ocean. As I'm sitting there looking over this massive water ocean out over there, I'm like,
right.
I'll probably never see him again. And I was right. I have, except for my immediate family, which is a happy story ending a little bit later, but I've never seen either my cousin in 43 years so far. My
Mm,
grandparents both passed away. All my friends I had back up that point.
yeah.
Probably never see him again. And I've been told in a big plan that if I ever made it, I have to take care of myself and then figure a way now to take care of the rest of my family back in Vietnam. I was freaking 13 years old, right?
Wow.
So
Yeah.
all of a sudden it hit me. I'm like, wait a minute. I don't know. Am I lucky or am I unlucky here?
Mm,
I am here now.
yeah.
And I struggle, cry all night, battling back and forth. It's one of those internal battle you have, right? Are you lucky? Are you unlucky? It went on for me for quite a while until the sun started to come up. I might have dozed off a little bit here or there, whatever. Wake up, and I remember hearing people waking up. I'm like, oh, I got to make a decision at this point. I can't just sit there and cry all day. And I did not realize at that moment, Julie, that our mindset is so important, right?
Yeah.
Because you, if you say you're right, you're right. If you say you're wrong, you're right, right? It's whatever you decide. And
Yeah.
I remember at that point, I was lucky enough to decide that I was lucky and not unlucky. I was a
Mm,
victor and not a victim. I could have gone through life and go, hey, I'm a victim. I'm 13 years old. I'm a boat boy. I'm by myself. What
right.
am I supposed to do, right? But I
Right.
remember telling myself, put your big boy pants on and go figure it out. Okay,
Wow.
stop crying. And
Wow.
that moment, I did not realize about that until I was in my 30s to think back of why I am the way I am. And
Yeah.
that moment is had put me in a trajectory of who I am, where I am today, which I share back to people all the time because that's why I'm on the show with you. I'm passionate about sharing with people, helping people, whatever it might be, because I never want to feel the way I maybe want to feel the way I felt that night,
Right.
hopeless and helpless. I don't know what to do. I don't know anything about this. I don't even know what's going to happen tomorrow. I'm just hopeless. I have no idea what's going to, it's just despair, right? It's just like,
Wow.
why am I even alive? Is this even good? I'd be better off dead, right?
Mm.
So, but I did not realize that moment. That's what one decision changed who I am today. And I want to share the story because I want to tell people if I went through all that and I can do it, you can do it too.
Yeah. Wow. And to be 13 and have that mindset that literally caused your trajectory to be so positive. So you end up spending 8 months on this island because you're waiting to be sponsored by your relatives in Minnesota, I understand, and you also had some relatives somewhere else. Can you tell
Yep.
us what happened when, that day that you got called?
Yeah. So only 8 months because I was an orphan. I had priority, right?
Mm,
There's people there 3 to 4 years. Remember, I finally made some friends with some people who were orphaned too. One of my
wow.
best friend at the time, I remember this is 13. I turned 14 at the camp.
Mhm.
So 14-year-old kid having this kind of conversation. He did not was not lucky enough like me to have an uncle and an aunt who sponsored me. Okay.
Yeah,
So if you don't have family, you have to wait for a nonprofit or church to sponsor you. Right.
right,
And priority actually go to family. People want to rescue five, six people at a time, not one person at a time. You know what I'm saying?
right.
So you don't realize that the orphans, as much a priority we have, actually were worse in the totem pole to be sponsored by someone who's not your family.
Uh,
I remember having a conversation with him like, man, I'm gonna grow up here, get married here, and probably have kids here. I mean, 14-year-old having those kind of
wow,
conversations, pretty sad,
wow.
right? So, anyways, life was terrible. I wake up the first night I actually slept, which is the next night to rats bigger than my dog, which is what Pascal said a little bit earlier.
My
That's the
God.
kind of life we live, right? Bad condition. We're on a little
Yeah.
island, hurricane, monsoon season. People washed out the ocean, died, that never got found.
Ugh,
These are the kind of life we live through. So, anyways, about every morning, at least 5 times a week, probably, they would announce, and this is like winning the lottery. They would announce the name of the people who get to leave that day.
wow.
Okay. So it was just like the intercom system, one of those old school intercom system, right? Loud,
Yeah,
and then so whatever you're doing, you all stop listening. You're sleeping, that's like your alarm. You wake up and listen, right? For your
yeah,
name to be called, and you're like people pray, do whatever you want to do. And I remember about 8 months into it, um, my name got called. So both my aunt in Arkansas and my uncle in Minnesota both sponsored me. I
mhm,
actually went to Arkansas first for a few months, and then I did go to Minnesota, and that's where I lived.
yeah,
But the story was 8 months into it, intercom system came on, and my name was one of the one that got called.
yeah.
And that one of those things where you remember the moment, like I remember that moment, I remember the nine
Yep.
11 moment, and there's certain moment you just remember exactly what
Yes.
happened where you
Core
are,
memory.
right?
Yeah.
That's right, right? So I remember, wait, did my name just get called? And I was standing close to the one couple that volunteered to kind of oversee and look at watch out for the orphan, right?
Mhm.
And I remember, and this is one of those weird things too, is like for me, I believe, yes, attitude determine altitude, but gratitude determine attitude. So I've
Mhm.
always been gratitude all about thinking, feeling I'm lucky, right? Because my whole
Yeah.
mentality, I already decided I'm lucky, not unlucky. And I remember the first time I have guilt feeling. I
Mm.
remember my name got called. And I remember asking the man, I said, was that just my name just got called? He said, yes, that's your name. And he's like, why are you not happy? And I said, do you think, and this is just 14-year-old boy, probably being stupid, do you think I can give my spot to my friend?
Mm. How generous.
He's already been
Wow.
there 3 years.
Mm. Wow. You have an incredible heart, and it sounds like for so long. I mean, wow.
I remember the man like slightly hit me across the face, like, wake up, don't be stupid. This is your
Mm.
chance to get out, right? You take it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And and you have like moments because when your name get called, you got to go to the dock and the boat take you. to Kuala Lumpur, which is like the main city in Malaysia, and that's where you get flown to wherever you go to. Okay, so I
Yeah.
had moments. So I'm like, hurry up, say goodbye to everybody, get ready to go. And this is when the couple gave me the little bag, gave me a nice pair of jeans to wear with a shirt to go to America. And in that bag, I brought with me my clothes I left Vietnam with, and a
Yeah.
couple, memento items that I have at the camp that I share later with some of the story. And off I go, went to America.
Wow. Wow. And I know that, it cannot be easy to not know English and come to America, especially at that time. What was that first, what would you say that first year was like transitioning? Were you treated well and were you able to express mourning, grief? Were you able to express yourself emotionally in your culture and at that time?
Not really, because first of all, when you apply and get approved to go to whatever country, could be
Yeah.
America, France, Canada, Australia, right? You would then go to school twice a day. That was our camp life. You go to school twice a day, and then you'll kind of fend for yourself the rest of the time. And you'll
Yeah.
learn about the culture and the language. You get
Okay.
accepted to Germany, you'll learn German, whatever. So
Yeah.
English was what I would go to school for. And you know what it's like when you go to school to learn a second language, Spanish or whatever. You learn
Yeah.
pencil, right? Hello, bathroom, just the
Yeah.
limited stuff, not
Yeah.
useful stuff until you have to go to. So when I came to America right away, I went to from eighth grade, right? I went from eighth grade to ninth grade because I left
Yeah.
when I was eighth grade, so I went right to ninth grade. And there was a program called ESL, English as a second language
Right.
for refugee people like me who came over. Remember, I ended up in Fort Smith, Arkansas, Barling,
Yeah.
Arkansas, actually, which is 20 minutes from Fort Smith. Not a lot of Vietnamese people there. My aunt does live there, but yeah, it wasn't easy. I mean, I'm going to school,
Yeah.
not know anything. Even with the dictionary, Julie, each word translated does not make
Right.
sense in a sentence. Okay,
Right.
and English is a whole different type of language. So that was very hard. As nice as kids try to be, it's hard to relate to them. And
Mhm.
at that time, remember, all the veteran came back from Vietnam War was spit on, not viewed as great, right? So
Right.
the refugees even worse. I would not say they were really mean or discrimination, but it was definitely not easy for me as a 14-year-old
Right.
old trying to go through that process.
Yeah.
So it was not easy, but it was still better than what I had. So I was
Yeah.
very grateful.
Yeah. So you ended up moving to Minnesota full time. And did you feel like you were able to be emotionally supported there at all?
Yeah, so the culturally, my aunt is my mom's sister. My uncle is my dad's brother. So in
Okay.
our culture, the dad side gets priority. Okay,
Yeah.
so not only that, Barling, Arkansas, a small little farming town, and then Twin City.
Yeah.
So of course I went to visit my uncle shortly, a couple months later, and like, wow, this is way better, nicer, all this other stuff. Of course, it wasn't during the winter. And
Yeah.
I'm like, hey, this is cool. And he's like, you come to live here, I'd love to have you. And then so I went, finished ninth grade with my aunt, and I came to Minnesota, and I did 10th, 11th, and 12th, and then I ended up in Minnesota ever since. So, yep,
Wow.
I remember the Greyhound bus. Some people don't even know what that is. I
Oh, I
took the
remember. Yeah.
Greyhound bus, from Arkansas to Minnesota, a 3 days trip,
Mm. Oh,
and that's how I ended up in Minnesota.
wow. Gosh, I mean, your story is just incredible. And you've gone on to build a successful business. You impact so many people by sharing your story. And it's like you just have this really wonderful light about you of kindness. And what would you say to somebody who, you know, there's so much stuff in division in our country, and there's a lot of people that have been migrating here. And what message can you say to people how they can treat people?
Yeah, absolutely. You know what? There's a lot of things we can do better in America.
Hmm.
But for all those who are not from here, we
Mhm.
love America because it's still way better than wherever we came from. Okay.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
with that being said, even if you're born here or you're not born from here, what I truly believe in is we all have to understand more about us as human than
Mhm.
how we are the same than how we are different.
Yeah.
What I mean by that is I'm a lifelong learner. I've always loved learning. I do share, but I also learn a lot. And what I
Yeah.
do learn is there are 5 stages of life, Julie. 5 stages of life. First one is struggle. We all struggle at some point, whether it's in a business life or personal life, go to
Mhm.
divorce, go to bankruptcy, came over to America, don't know anything, whatever struggle is, right? You've grown up as a teenager, life seemed really bad because your parents are so mean to you, right? Whatever that is,
Yeah.
we all go through a struggle. Stage one.
Hmm.
We then usually go through survival, which is the next stage. We
Mm.
struggle and we finally survive. Right? We're in survival. That's when
Yeah.
we start figuring out things. How do we do this to get better? How do we escape that? How do we improve ourselves? Which lead to the third stage for many people is success. Now we start to have some success. We start making enough money to pay the bill, go on a vacation, buy a car, whatever, whatever. Not everyone eventually will. We all can, but not everyone will, right? Because some of us, I believe success is the biggest enemy of growth. When we get to certain success, we get complacent. Like, I'm happy
Mm.
where I'm at. I just be complacent, right?
Right.
But many people do go to the next step, which is significance. When you go through the fourth step of significance, you start feeling like, hey, I can help other people now.
Mm.
Okay, I already got to this point. I want to give back.
Yeah.
So you start giving back, doing whatever, like I do a lot. And then the last level, for those who can reach there, is succession or
Yeah.
legacy, as some people call it. You got there now, you've been helping, but how could you leave something that people can keep helping themselves and other people?
Hmm.
So that's where I want to answer your question the different ways that, yes, we're all different, but let's not learn about different, all the same. We all go through the same stages of life.
Yeah.
And where are we in a stage of life? And what can we do to either improve ourselves or give back to people who are behind us?
Yeah. And wrapping up, what do you think your younger self would say to you now, seeing all that you've done and how kind and wonderful you are helping other people? What do you think he'd say to you?
Yeah, so I worked three jobs, raised my brother from eighth grade to high school because he came over later. He also made it. He was 12 when he left.
Wow.
Went to U of M, the whole thing, right?
Yeah.
And I went through all of that, start new business, fail, first marriage, fail, bankruptcy. So what you don't realize is most successful people, if you talk to them, they probably fail more than they succeeded, right?
Right.
But for
Because they
where we
keep
are today,
trying.
all the failure. That's right.
Yeah.
What I would tell my younger self is fail more and fail faster.
Mm.
Okay. Again, it's back to the mindset. Most of us have a fixed mindset versus a growth mindset. And for those who know about a fixed mindset, result oriented. It's like
Yeah.
if you don't achieve that, you fail. Whereas a growth mindset is process oriented. You didn't succeed, but what happened? How can you keep improving? So
Right.
if you were to fail more and faster, you would learn to be even more successful sooner and better. So
Right.
that's probably one I would give, even though I failed a lot already. I would have
Hmm.
told myself to fail more, take more chances. And no matter what, you are still better than what you could have. So any
Mm.
chance you get to give back, it doesn't have to be money. It can be time. It can be effort. It can
Mm.
be words. It can be a little, hey, how you doing today? Hey, just
Yeah.
want to let you know I'm thinking of you. I do that every day. I text somebody I haven't thought of in a while. Say, hey, just want to let you know I'm thinking of you.
Yeah.
You don't
Yeah.
realize that one text or that one message might help them somehow.
I agree. I agree. And last thing, what would you say to somebody who may be struggling and obviously they may not be underneath a boat, you know, out on open waters, but they feel like they are,
Yeah.
mentally, or going through some stuff right now in the dark. What what could you say to them that might help them take that first step to get out of it?
You know what? First of all, we're all going to be in that situation at some point in our life.
Mm-hmm.
Some more than others. Some might be one time, some might be dozen times, because there's always struggle, right? There's always
Right.
struggle in different area of your life, right? That we go through that stage. So I would say that if you heard my story, hopefully you'll go, well, heck, if Long went through that crap, he can do it, I can do it, right?
Hmm.
What I'm trying to say is there will always be tomorrow when the sun goes up and you have to make
Hmm.
that decision.
Yeah.
So the sun is going up, just like I'm on the beach that night. Make a decision and have gratitude and feel positive that you are lucky to be where you are right now. It may not seem that way, but you know what? You are still alive and you are still thinking of what to do next. That's
Mm.
being lucky already. You could have been dead. You could have been
Yeah.
wherever worse. That's the only time I think comparison might come in. I never compare myself to somebody to be I'm better than them or worse than them, right? Because it's bad. You should always try
Yeah.
to grow and be better than the version of yourself. But if you get to hear a story like mine and other to go, at least I'm not that. I could have been that. And you
Right.
go, well, wait a minute, I'm lucky. Versus
Yeah.
feel sorry for yourself, feel like I'm in a bad situation. So yes, no matter how it is bad, no doubt about it. Start thinking,
Yeah.
okay, I know it's bad, but what do I need to do to get out? Who do I need to call to get help? And then do it.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much. I know your story is going to inspire people and give people that mindset boost, maybe that they need, even if it's just for today. So, thank you so much for being here. Really appreciate you.
Thank you for having me.
Here on From Dark to Light, we believe that resilience isn't about pretending the darkness never happened. It's about learning to rise from it and letting our scars tell a story of strength. If today's episode spoke to you, I hope you'll share it with someone who may need encouragement on their own path. Subscribe on YouTube or anywhere else that you get your podcasts. And as always, thank you for joining me in shining a light on the power of the human spirit. Until next time, I'm Julie Crawford, and this has been From Dark to Light.